let's get to some of the controversial part of it, right?
Yes.
So I'm gonna ask you, Bola, like watching that, did you understand what he was trying to do?
It was a lot of technical, which is good, but
Storytelling is really important because there is almost no way that you can um, convince somebody of the value you're bringing if you're not able to tell the story.
so one thing I saw between people who had great submissions and people who generally didn't was the
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of the Africa Deep Tech Community Podcast. And I am Emeka Afigbo, and I'm here with my good friend, Gbolahan. Maybe I'll let him introduce himself a little bit.
yeah. My name is Gbolahan. I wear many hats, but as part of the ADTC challenge, doing everything related to organizing behind the scene and making sure that all our participants get the support of, our community. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's been humble, right? So I can tell you that if not for Gbolahan and Fumi and Zach, um, yeah, this challenge would have been a pipe dream. I can tell you that for sure. So it's actually a pleasure and an honor to have this conversation live with Gbolahan. So what are we talking about today, man?
It's been interesting since we made the call for innovations and innovators, and it's been amazing seeing, the response, So today I think we're talking about different things. One, everything that we've seen thus far, some that made it, some that didn't make it, something for people who have not been a part of everything that we've been doing thus far to get excited, towards the finals itself. But yeah, yes.
Yeah, like Bolan said, wow, it seems like so long ago. In May, we kicked off the Africa Deep Tech Challenge, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the theme of the challenge is resource constrained compute or resource constrained computing. And we basically asked all of you, Africans in the region to come up with innovations and crazy ideas that leverage that theme, like resource constrained computing. We didn't put any boundaries on it. We just said, make it happen. And I can tell you that we're going to talk a little bit about it, but I can tell you that we were overwhelmed with the amount of innovations that came out of the challenge and that we've been dealing with, since the
It's
challenge
it's
came out.
I think our judges had a very tough time. It was quite a tough time for them to make the decisions.
Yeah, amazing. In fact, we're going to be talking about some of that. Like the submissions were so good that when you look at some of the submissions that didn't make it to the semifinals, you know, you're asking like why, you know.
Exactly.
Uh, well then of course, like oh man, the bar, I think the bar was very high. And also one thing that would be good to talk about, which we promised the contestants, is that we're going to share feedback on, especially for those who didn't make it to the semifinals. We got a lot of questions like, why didn't we make it? What could we do better? So we're going to
Yeah.
talk through a few things themes that we saw generally across most of the submissions that made it such that even though they were awesome, right, they could have been that much better if they had done some of these things. So we're going to talk through
Yeah.
that. But yeah, before we go into the nitty-gritty, I'll ask you, Bola, what's your overall impression? Like, what was your thought process when we started this? How has that evolved, and what's like on your mind now?
So Emeka, when you kept pushing us to kind of make this happen, I thought, where would we even start from? Would we even be able to? I mean, the goals that we set for ourselves were ambitious, but we didn't even know that there was this much, just raw talents across the continent, just waiting to be discovered. And I think, in everything that we've seen, in reviewing some of the submissions, we're starting to see a pattern. And for us, and for me personally, this is interesting because it means that people are doing things, all across Nigeria, and not just in Nigeria, people are doing it across, the region, East Africa, South Africa. And it was truly amazing to see ideas and all of them had very local African context, right? Couldn't have been thought of. I don't think any of the submissions I saw could have been thought of in other parts of the world. You have to have been an African to have experienced some of the things that we saw as part of the submissions, very raw talent.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny you say that. Like, I remember when we came up with the idea and we wrote the first concept notes about doing this, right? We said that our target was to get 100 quality submissions. We felt that if we could get 100 quality submissions, that we would that we would declare
we are done good.
Yeah.
If only Africans then showed up.
And we were, because this is the first time we're doing this, right? This is the first time we're doing this. And we're like, hey, we can get 100 quality submissions. That would be awesome. But wow, we were really pleasantly surprised. And this is a huge thank you to everybody, both the contestants and our ecosystem partners. And all our partners, and I'll talk more about that in a bit. But they put out, they put out that hand of collaboration. And at the end of the day, we got more than 400 submissions from 14 countries across Africa.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And, even after we said, okay, let's apply some filtering and all that stuff to maybe remove some of the spam submissions, because you'll always get some spam submissions and all this thing, and clean it out and all of that. We ended up with about 350 quality submissions. 300,
impressive.
And yeah, from 14 countries. And when you consider that our target was 100, you begin to understand how elated we're feeling and how confident we're feeling about the future of innovation in Africa. This is really, really awesome.
Yeah. And to the point that you made, Emeka, the other time, which is, this is the first time we're hosting, right? So, the more reason why the feedback that you also referenced the other time is super important, because, this is, should I say that we're going to be having more of this, or maybe we should just keep it under wrap?
Yeah.
Right?
Let's not let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah, but take the feedback when it is shared. Incorporate that into whatever you're building. Something is coming. Turn your notifications on.
Yep. Joy is coming.
Yeah.
No, get ready. And just to I'm just going to read out if I can find it. I'm going to read out the list just so that some of the countries that we saw submissions from. So there was Rwanda, Tanzania, Morocco, Senegal, Uganda, Ghana, South Africa, Kenya, and Nigeria, right? So these are just some of the countries that we saw submissions from, just to show you the breadth of where the innovation was coming in from. Cool. So I also wanted to take time to give a shout out to our partners, specifically Future Africa.
Yep.
Right. Future Africa. I remember when we had the conversation with them, like almost before we were going to do this contest anyway, in our own way. Right? We were going to do it in our own small way. But when Future Africa caught wind of it, they came in big without hesitation, right, to support. And what makes it for me very, very why I was really impressed is that Future Africa, for those of us who don't know, is they are like a VC firm, right? Of the top, if I may say so, VC firms.
You may say so.
In the region. And what I like about Future Africa is that not many VC firms, every VC is going to tell you they're interested in ecosystem development. Every VC is going to tell you that, right? But not many firms put their money behind it.
Yeah.
Or put their resources and their time behind it, right? But Future Africa definitely is one that does. They run, and I'm not just saying that, obviously I'm biased because they came through for us as a financial sponsor for this for this challenge. But they also have a track record. They run one of the great accelerator programs in the region right now, right? And you can check them out. This is not a Future Africa publicity podcast, but I just wanted to call them out, for being ecosystem oriented.
Yeah.
And they are going to reap the benefits of that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Shout out to Future Africa and the entire team.
Yes. So so coming to the challenge itself, like at a high level, what was your impression as you looked through the submissions? Was there any takeaway, any, like, if you were to summarize your impressions of the submissions, what were the themes that you saw, and what were your comments?
Blown away. I think is the one word I would use to is the one phrase I'll probably use to describe it. I was just blown away, just looking at some of the submissions, because, from, like you said, from moving to not even expecting 100 quality submissions to then having to go through about 350 and making it, making our job tougher. We thought this was just going to be something that we could do, and at some point, looking through the submission and trying to figure out, which should make the initial cut, and then during our due diligence, speaking to some of the participants and, getting to understand them better, some of the challenges that they experienced in building this. It was truly, it was a wake-up call that we needed to definitely do more, that we have a lot of amazing talent on the continent, and that, this is a start of something truly amazing on the continent. And I'm excited to see what comes out of this and, potentially, what happens next, right, as we move into the finals.
Yes, indeed. And again, just giving more context to those who are hearing about this for the first time. A big aspect of this challenge was we wanted it to be cross-functional in nature, right? It was, or cross-disciplinary, right? It wasn't just like, I know this is a deep tech challenge, so right now AI is the thing on everybody's lips, right? AI is the talk of the town. But we know that deep tech is a very cross-functional area, right? So it's not just AI, there's blockchain, there's IoT, there's Web3, there's all the sciences, mathematics, the biochemistry, the medical field, arts. We wanted everybody to bring themselves, everything they had, to this competition. It wasn't just necessarily one discipline. And we saw that come true, right? There was a lot of, obviously a lot of AI projects, right? As you would expect. But there were also a lot of there were some compute projects, right? People who worked on algorithms. There were a lot of hardware and infrastructure and IoT projects. There were a lot of Web3 projects. There were people who combined Web3 and AI and,
and a few people
hardware.
and a few people even with patents.
Yes, yeah. We saw at least one, that was patented, right? And I can tell you, I saw at least a few that even if they are not patented, they should be. They should be patented. And it was great to see that cross-functional collaboration, teamwork. We saw teams where you had an AI developer, an IoT expert working with someone in the biomedical field and all sorts of stuff coming out. So it was really, really, really interesting. And feel free to check out the projects in the gallery. We're going to put the link in the show notes. You can go down and see all the submissions that came out. Now, one thing we did, right, as part of this challenge was that we actually met some of the teams, right? Virtually, well, not in person, but as close to in person as it gets, right? Virtually, we had what we call due diligence calls for all the semifinalists, where we got to meet them. And I don't know, Gbolahan, what was your impression of those conversations?
Yeah, you started to talk about the teams already, right? We had teams, and because we didn't force how the teams were made, we kind of saw, we kind of started to see a pattern. There were teams that understood the importance of quality research, and they just had people just on their team doing, just pure research. And there were the developers, the front-end developers, the hardware developers, and you could see, young people delegating tasks to each other, showing up, owning different aspect of what they were building and working together, even with all of the constraints that we could see, they were facing, to make sure that, things worked well. So for me, those are some of the things that I saw all through this process. I saw ownership, I saw, delegation, I saw leadership, I saw, people doing research, I saw people, bringing cultural context that they have about, practices that are happening within various industries. And it was just amazing to see that, even without some form of, heavy educational structure, even though we paired them up with mentors, as they progress to kind of refine their ideas, that they were already thinking about this just at the team formation level, just before they even got access to mentors and access to advisors. So for me, that was really impressive.
Yeah, no, that was cool, man. Like, I remember one of the questions we asked all the teams was, how did you meet? Right? How did you come together? One of the teams, the guy said that one of the other people in the team beat him in a previous competition. I remember that he beat him, maybe he took first place and he took second place, right? And through that, they became friends and stayed
Yeah,
in touch and now formed this team that made it to the semifinals, right? And,
yeah,
we saw a team, there were more than a few teams of students, who were just doing great stuff, came together, recruited their friends. We
yeah,
saw, yeah, we saw all sorts. We saw teams that were geographically spread out, and were still able to build robotic projects, right? So somebody on one place in one place
in
doing
one country.
software, somebody somewhere else doing the hardware,
Mhm.
and they were still able to put something impressive together and come together as a team to demo this stuff in front of us. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was really,
And
really awesome.
another thing for me as well was, how much work we still need to do to support some of this, talent, because we also saw people who had to source for, parts for some of the submissions that they made, from outside the country, just
Mm.
because they didn't have access to some, to some things that they needed to put things together. So for me, that was also another wake-up call to say that we need to do more to support, innovation at the grassroots, to support people with ideas, and to make some of these things a little bit more available and accessible, to innovators and people who are building specifically for the deep tech layer.
Yep, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I mean, yeah, and that's one thing we really hope that those of you who are watching or those of you who come to our final pitch event or who heard about uh, this competition take away from it is that the talent is there, right?
Yep.
They just need support. They need
Yep.
support from everybody, from the financiers, from the government, from
Yep.
the universities, from the
Yep.
policymakers, to make it easy for them to do this stuff. They're already doing it and doing amazing things, right? And when I say amazing things, check out the gallery again to see what I'm talking about
Yep.
with little or no resources. So
Yep.
how much more will they do when there is this ecosystem supporting them?
Yeah, and one more thing I wanted to add there that you mentioned, and I think even the media houses, right?
Mm.
We need them to tell stories about what some of these innovators are doing, regardless of what they have, so that they also have access to, this same category of people that I just mentioned, to both locally and globally as well, and then it can be spotlighted, discovered, connected with, everything, which is everything that the Africa Deep Tech, Foundation and the challenge is working to achieve as well.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay, so let's get to some of the controversial part of it, right?
Yes.
So, we had 400 plus submissions, 350 quality submissions, right? And of that, only 16 made it to the semifinal, right? Now, what were some of the things that you saw, that would, and I have my thoughts and I'll share them as well,
Okay.
that you saw that got in the way of people who didn't make it, even if they may or may not have had great submissions? Like, what were some of the things?
So one thing I saw between people who had great submissions and people who generally didn't was the clarity of their thought process and their ability to share that, without even us having met them, right? Because at that point we had not even, there was no due diligence call that had been conducted at that point. So the clarity of the thought process, the detail in the documentation that they provided, kind of gives you insight into how they were thinking, and you could kind of see, even though some of them were not so great, you could see where they were heading to, and you could kind of make guesses on or fill in the gaps where they didn't provide, maybe enough insight. So for me, it was the detail, and in some certain cases, if it kind of felt like some people were even writing papers, right? So they were writing papers with multiple pages and things like that, and you're like, oh wow. And that's a good thing, because not a lot of that is being done on a global scale. We need to do more to see African thoughts being contributed on a global stage, and contributing to how some of these decisions are being made, right? So for me, those are some of the things that I saw that was also very impressive, in fact, just the type of technical depth that goes into research paper, and the detail that was provided in some of them.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Like basically being able to articulate your ideas in a way that shows, like you said, that thought process, and people can actually follow your thinking, even if they
Yeah.
haven't met you in
Yeah.
person, right? The analogy I always use is that, calculus was discovered in like 12th or 16th century or whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? And people were able to articulate those ideas in writing,
Yeah.
and people in different continents hundreds
Just
of
kind of
years
got
later
it.
were able to understand it and follow it,
Yeah.
right? And so if they were able to do it then with little or no tooling, how much more now, right? And it's something that we are really looking for in this challenge. Another thing that struck me is, no, this is gonna sound funny, right? But it's the truth. So I'll say basic adherence to the instructions of the challenge, right? Which hopefully, and maybe this is feedback that we're open to take, like maybe if we weren't clear enough in articulating what we wanted, please let us know that we weren't clear enough, and we'll try to do better next time. But we said, hey, you have to submit these things. You have to submit a short video that shows your solution and talks about it and shows it in as little time as possible. Reason we said short video is that the judges who are going to be looking at this thing are very busy people. They
Yeah.
don't have time to watch a whole movie just to understand what your solution is about. So if you can grab their attention and deliver the punchline and show them what you're about, it increases the chances of you making it. Then you fill out all the prompt questions in DevPost, which are there to make sure that you're able to describe in full detail what you've done, what you've learned, why you did it, and so on. And then we had also requested a technical report document, which is what Gbolahan was referring to, more or less, we didn't want to say technical paper, a scientific paper that you're submitting to a journal. No, but just being able to articulate what you've done and how you did it. And we gave very clear guidelines and outlines of what we wanted to see in the report. A lot of people, even though they had built great stuff, did not follow those guidelines. And I would say we're even very forgiving, right? We're very forgiving,
Yeah.
We tried as much as possible to make sure that the judges were a bit lenient. They saw a good solution, but the technical report may not have been that good. But even then, a lot of people did not adhere to the
The
guidelines,
instruction. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which is in its way a test, right? I know we had this conversation, but I'm like, should we make it easier? Should we have made it in a form so that you fill it out and you can't miss
Yeah.
it? But we decided that it's actually a test, part of the
Yeah.
test, to see people who are able to adhere to guidelines and articulate their thoughts in a particular way. So I think that was one other area where a lot of people fell short, even though they may have built something very, very interesting.
Yeah. And we saw people who, instead of submitting even the papers, they just included the link, and yeah. So next time, please follow the rules, pay
Yeah.
attention to everything, and to the fact that we provided, Telegram group for support, as a matter of fact, we should probably not have been lenient, because we provided enough chance for people to, ask questions, clarify things that they weren't clear about, even provided some templates, right? And some resources on our website as well. So it was really shocking to just see that some people still didn't follow that through, and disappointing, because you might have had something really great, but if you're not able to communicate it to our judges, who are super busy people and have shared their generous time with us, it's just tough, right?
Yeah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I mean, we saw people put in a URL to a website. in in the technical report URL. I don't know, maybe they believe that the website contains all the information, but I mean that wasn't the guidance that they
Exactly.
gave,
And then, for people like that, you're now contesting against people who have more or less like research papers, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's tough to then, you might have had great ideas. And again, there might be 1,001 reasons why you didn't make it. But again, understand that this was a, Africa-wide competition, people participating from different places, and we saw some really outstanding competition. So it's tough when people do not follow the rules.
Mm.
And then, it's for us, it was really just disappointing and sad.
Yeah, and another one that I'll call out was and I think in a way it touched upon it a little bit, but I'll just say storytelling, right?
For those that made the videos.
Yeah, for those who made the videos, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, storytelling. And I say this, I'm not saying this in that, maybe I'm not putting the blame on people who didn't do it, because that is not a skill set that you would expect, ordinarily from deep tech gurus, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That may not be the strong point per se.
yeah,
If your strong point is that you're building the best AI algorithm,
yeah.
or you're building the next mobile phone or whatever it is, storytelling may not be your strong suit, and I get
Yeah,
that, right? But I'll say this. I'll say first thing is storytelling is really important, because there is almost no way that you can um, convince somebody of the value you're bringing if you're not able to tell the story,
yeah,
right, of what it is, and tell it in this case, like in a way that is concise and straight to the point, but captures the essence of what you're trying to do.
yeah,
It is, and I'll say that on its own probably was responsible for like 50 to 60% of people who could have made it but did not, right?
yeah,
Because you could see, and we'll talk about this in the more controversial part of this conversation, but just, wait for that, because you could see some really great solutions, or at least you may feel these are great solutions. You're like, this person is going somewhere, right? But
yeah,
because you're not 100% clear on exactly what it is they're doing, if I'm a judge, I'm not going to give them that benefit of doubt when there's somebody else who has
was done. Yeah.
done the work and articulated it, and okay, this is what this person is building and this is the value they are bringing to the world, right?
Exactly.
But
Might I even say, and again, I didn't check specifically for this. Might I even say that it's probably a lot easier if you don't provide the full technical documentation, but at least your storytelling is, much clearer. It allows people to see, you have framed the problem statement very clearly, you have framed your solution very clearly, and maybe you've even helped save the judge some bandwidth by compressing what they will have read into a few minutes of things that they can listen to. So yeah,
exactly. And, so to that point, like I said, we're not expecting that everybody who is a deep tech guru is going to be an expert storyteller, even though that would be a unicorn, right? That's kind of what we're looking for. Having said that, the Africa Deep Tech Challenge is a cross-functional challenge. It's a team sport,
yeah,
right? And so if you know that you're not a good storyteller, or you don't make good videos, or you don't write that well, or whatever it is, this is the opportunity to get somebody who can do that on your team, right?
yeah,
You may be the best guru, have invented, patented so many things, but if you're not able to tell the story around it, then the chances of you, fulfilling your potential with that innovation is very slim. So, if there's one thing to take away, in fact, that may actually be the most important takeaway from this competition, because, like
yeah,
I said, that was responsible for more than 50%, I'll say, of people who could have made it but did not.
yeah,
If it's not your strong suit, find somebody who can tell the story, right?
yeah,
And because also those people are rare as well. People who are good at storytelling and also understand technology and can work with, hardcore technologies, right? So if you can find somebody like that on your team, it's more than doubles your chances
yeah,
of
yeah.
of winning, of progressing.
Yeah. So, in summary, if you are the Steve Wozniak out there, find your Steve Jobs.
Exactly. Exactly.
Find your Steve Jobs, right? Look for
Exactly.
someone who can tell the story, who can make a good pitch, who can sell it very well, understands, and in a nutshell, is able to complement the skills that you do not have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I'll say the last one, or even before I go to that last one, right? Or I don't know, Bola, if you have any other one, but so before I even go to that, I'll just say generally again, like being buttoned up in anything you're doing, right? I'll say raising the bar on you and your level of excellence, right? Some people had great projects, right? But they didn't put in the work to make it shine, right? And make it shine doesn't necessarily mean that you built it and it was a full
Working hard.
working app or whatever.
Mhm.
But those little things, did you take the extra time to get the storytelling right? Did you take the time to, make sure that whatever little prototype you had worked end to end and, people could click through it? Did you take the time to write a technical report? All those things, little things like that put together, right? I could see that there were almost, I don't want to say it's a lack of self-belief, um, but maybe people didn't take themselves that serious. A few people didn't take themselves that serious. They were just like, let me do a Hail Mary and throw this thing in there and see what happens. Maybe I'll get lucky kind of thing. When with a little bit more effort in just being buttoned up as a team or as an individual, you may have actually gone very, very far.
Yeah.
So those little things make a difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last one I wanted to bring up is the lastminute.com people. Right?
No matter what you do, no matter the announcement you make, it would always be 11:59.
Yeah, so lastminute.com, right? Yeah, I don't know what else to say to that, right?
I don't know as well.
Yeah, and I'm gonna confess, like I'm also to an extent I procrastinate a lot. That's something I do, right? I'm also to an extent a lastminute.com person. But you don't want to be the 11:59 p.m. kind of person, you
Yeah.
know. If there's a deadline, set an artificial deadline that is like either one day or 1 hour even, right?
Even before. Yeah.
Before the thing. Because something is always gonna go wrong. No
Yeah.
matter what, then
Yeah.
something will always happen and you may end up needing buffer time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I'm going to call out a former colleague of mine without calling her out. I had this colleague who she hates waiting at the airport, right? She wants to walk straight from her Uber or taxi straight into the plane.
Into the plane, yeah.
So she'll try to time her
Arrival.
arrival at the airport in such a way that she walks straight into the plane and
Into
the
the
plane
plane.
is taking off
Good enough.
1 minute later. That's how
Yeah.
she likes her life,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, I mean, you could choose to live your life that way, right? But
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
whatever you see that comes out of it, then you take it the way you see it.
And to your point, I mean, I have an hack like that too. In when I drive, my time is always about 10 minutes ahead, right? Normal time. So that, anytime I'm going somewhere, I would rather get there earlier than get there late. So to your point, if you are the last minute person, I'm sure by now you know that you are a last minute person. So have your formula that works for you.
Yeah, and a lot of exciting projects that could have made it in did not for that
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
For that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people ask for feedback. That is, of course, there may be specific feedback on certain things. I mean, but this is like a collated feedback in terms of why a lot of people who could have made it did not make it. There's also something I want to speak a little bit about, more on the technical side, and that is the use of AI,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
In this in this competition, the use of AI. And this is interesting. I was talking with Zach about it yesterday, and he made an interesting comment. One of the criteria we put in there was tools orchestration.
Yeah.
That was a criteria. And we did that deliberately because we know that this is the age of AI. And we not only expected, but we also encourage people to leverage AI in coming up with these solutions. And a lot of you did, which was great.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of stuff that, either you could see that AI was leveraging in doing it, which was great. But I think the thing that Zach mentioned, which, and in thinking about it, I think is a bit of a pity, is that people used AI, or a lot of people used AI in this competition almost as if it was a forbidden thing and they felt guilty of using it.
Yeah.
And they were trying to
Yeah.
hide the fact that they used it,
Yeah.
when in fact, that is what we want. Like, we believe in the African deep tech community that AI is here to stay,
Yep.
right? And so if you're not using it, then you can't claim to want to be in the forefront of cutting edge technology, because it is a
Exactly.
tool that is here to stay. And so we saw people using it, but people shied away from telling us how they used it, how we help their process, and things like that. Because for us, that's the kind of innovation we also want to see, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to call that out.
Yeah, and you can tell, because especially it became clearer when we were doing some of the due diligence calls, right? And you can see what someone is showing you, and you're asking them questions basically about what they are showing, but they do not really understand, what they are showing as well. So, it's okay, I think, and I think to the point that you're making, which is, what we're really interested in is how creatively you're using these tools, right? So
Yeah.
don't shy away from them. As a matter of fact, we want to see how creative you're combining all of these tools to make you stand out. And this is, feedback for people as well. Creative use of the tools, creative use of the technology, don't shy away from it. If there's any place, just own up to it. If there's any, credit that you need to give where due, don't, because again, when you claim something that it isn't yours, that's a whole different ballgame entirely, right? So you need
Yeah.
to be clear where you have used it and how it has helped you.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yeah. So those are just some of the things, top of mind that came. Of course, there may be individual things for each project and so on and so forth. But given the scale of the contest, we thought it may be more efficient to share this general feedback for everybody. We may, depending on if we have the time, maybe go back and give some feedback here and there. But we promise to give you feedback at scale, and that's what we're trying to do now.
Yeah.
Cool. So I want to get to a controversial part of it, right? Which is that, I was talking with Gbolahan and Zach and the team. We are all human beings, right?
Yeah.
And, for example, I'll tell you, I looked at every single submission, every single one. And there were some submissions that I felt when I saw them, I was like, wow, this is really something. I'm looking forward to seeing them blossom, right? And then, many of those submissions made it to the semifinals, but there were a few that did not, right?
Yeah.
Because again, it's all up to the judges, right? The judges know best. I'm not an expert. I'm just a random guy who
Yeah.
is interested in deep tech. But yeah, there were some submissions that I'm like, man, I really, this seems crazy enough, right? In terms
Yeah.
of what this person is trying to do,
Yeah.
And when I didn't see them in the semifinals, my
Yeah,
heart
like,
was broken. I was like,
and I remember there was one particular one that you were showing me, like, how come this did not, right? How
yeah,
come
I'm
this
like,
did not?
come on, come on.
Because it kind of fits our definition of crazy ideas, right? Because
Yeah,
they had a crazy approach to an interesting problem.
yeah,
So it was really interesting. But yeah, go.
yeah. I'm gonna ask the judges, man. Come on, what's going on? What's going on?
We were even tempted to see whether we should put a prize for those that didn't make it. Those that
Yeah,
didn't.
and
That
we
was
might
our.
still do that. Actually, we might still do
Oh
that.
well, you want to spill the tea? They are going to hold you to it. Oh.
Who knows? But yeah, no. So we want to take a few minutes just to show you, and this is like Emeka's. Call it Emeka's best
Choice
of dress.
award.
Yeah, you know, um, just to give like a few seconds of fame, to
Yeah.
these ideas. And who knows, maybe they may actually be fluffy. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I just saw these and I was like, wow, I was intrigued by them. And I was kind of hoping that there was more to it and that they will go on. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about them. These are apps that didn't make the semifinals, but I feel they were very interesting. to look at least, and I want to share them with our audience. And so the first one is the one Gbolahan was talking about, which was the home automation and IoT integration, right? So I'm actually going to share my screen now because I can't see this alone. You have to see this with me. So I'm going to share my screen and I will. Can you see my screen?
It's coming up. Yeah, it's up now.
Okay, great. So this is one, right? And basically, it says home automation and IoT integration, seamless smart living, automating homes with power line communications and Arduino Nano. It highlights the efficiency, automation, and the integration of PLC and IoT for a connected smart home experience. Now, my interpretation of what these folks were trying to do is they figured out a way, and I think maybe this is actually technology that has been around for a while, but I don't know. But basically, they are able to send signals through the electrical power line to control devices, right? So think about the electric power line. You're able to send signals to turn things off and on, right? Which I felt was interesting. And I'm going to show the video. And this video is going to basically buttress one of the points we gave in the feedback. Tell me if you see it, but I'm going to play the video right now so that you see the solution. And yeah, I'll just play it.
Okay, press 1 to 2 to switch it on. 3, 4. Okay. We'll do a video for them on YouTube since they don't have videos in English.
So yeah, I mean, what can I say? You know, yeah. So I'll stop screen share for a bit. So that solution, like I said, uses electrical signals passed through the electrical wiring system to control devices, right? But I can tell you, just watching that video, it could be obvious to me why they didn't make it, right? Because while it's a very innovative idea and they really built something that I believe is really awesome, the storytelling was not up to scratch.
Yeah.
The storytelling was not to scratch,
And yeah. It takes someone who is really, I mean, is understanding that our judge have limited time frame. Remember how many numbers we're talking about. So in being clear, well, you watch the video, our audience or whoever is watching this, you watch the video, right? So you be the judge, how short that was, and don't really say much. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I'm heartbroken, actually. I'm heartbroken because I think there's something there. Again, I'm not an expert, I don't know, right? But I think with proper storytelling and packaging, those folks could be up to something, right? So if you're on the home automation and IoT integration team, don't give up, keep building. Like, I think you're onto something, but figure out your storytelling, find somebody on your team who can help you do that. Yeah, and you will definitely go places. That's Emeka's candid thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another one is Aura, Intelligent Sensor Network. In fact, this one, I'm not even gonna pretend that I'm smart enough to understand everything that they did. But I did a little bit of research on it, and it really, really sounded interesting, right? And I'm gonna play the video for you guys. But basically, it's Aura, Autonomous Resource Aware Sensor Networks. It's a novel, intelligent, brain-inspired algorithm built on a new mathematical formula powering a system that makes IoT and traditional sensor energy autonomous, reducing power usage by over 75%. So I'm gonna play now, and you tell me.
In Africa, the future of smart agriculture, smart services, telecommunications, and climate monitoring is being held back by a single fundamental problem, which is power. Large-scale sensor networks are essential, but their reliance on scarcity power in Africa and their finite batteries makes them unsustainable. That's why I decided to solve this not with a better battery, but with a smarter brain. I built Aura, an AI system powered by a novel algorithm and mathematical formula I developed that makes these networks autonomously energy efficient, reducing power usage by over 75% while maximizing accuracy, which is data fidelity. It's not just AI applied, it's AI created. The brain of the Aura system is a new mathematical formula I call the Aura index. It's inspired by the brain neuroscientific European principle that goes neurons that fire together actually wire together. My formula is a universal way to measure the real-time similarity of any number of sensors. It's lightweight, incredibly sensitive, and is the key to identifying data redundancies to save power. I've embedded this algorithm into a complete working system, a high-performance fast API backend that runs the simulation and communicates in real time with two displays, which include an interactive 3D front-end and this physical hardware prototype. When the algorithm deactivates a virtual sensor, the corresponding physical LED turns off in perfect sync. The system operates in a highly efficient shadow mode by default, constantly saving power. But the real innovation is its ability to learn. It continuously monitors its own data fidelity, which is accuracy, and if performance ever drops, it autonomously triggers a full retraining cycle to find new optimal parameters. You can see the learner running in the background at certain intervals, finding even better strategy for the system to use. This isn't just a simulation, it's a deployable solution that directly addresses the power management challenge. By reducing the power usage of remote networks by over 75%, Aura can unlock the true potential of a connected and data-driven Africa.
So I'm gonna ask you, Gbolahan, like watching that, did you understand what it was trying to do?
It was a lot of technical, which is good, but maybe for judging purposes, it might be, a lot in terms of making it a little bit more relatable, which is why, the point you make about storytelling is not just enough. The storytelling, part of the storytelling is making it more relatable to the people who are listening to you. Obviously, this young man has done and his team has done something very truly impressive, but I think the storytelling could have been a lot better, right? And that's just me. That's just Gbolahan's opinion. I'm sure the judges have their own reasons. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, no. So yeah. Now when I saw this first, I had to go back and watch it and watch it a few times, and then I used AI basically to go do research on what he said and summarize it and translate it into 10-year-old language.
Yeah.
Right? And when I understood what he was working on, what he was trying to do, I was like, wow, because basically my understanding, and again, I could be wrong, right, is he has figured out a way that if you have sensors deployed, right, how do you make sure that those sensors are operating in the most energy efficient way possible, right? And so he figured out an algorithm that can understand which sensors are needed at a particular time and switch off the other ones and keep the, basically switching on and off the sensors, right? So that they are optimizing power, because your sensors don't need to be on all the time, right? And he figured out some mathematical algorithm to make
which is very impressive.
Which is what we're talking about, right?
Which is exactly the crazy that we're talking about.
Yeah, that's what we need. That's what we're looking for, right? But again, I think maybe, it could be that the storytelling, may have let him down. The storytelling might have been great in a university PhD dissertation defense panel, right? But when you're pitching to a cross-functional, because we had judges from across the board, so judges who are AI experts, IoT experts, blockchain experts, all sorts, right?
And they all judged independently of each other.
Yes, they judge. So you may score high with one judge and score low with another one, right? But if you're able to articulate what you're doing in a way that everybody at least has a baseline understanding of what you're trying to do, it increases your chances of making it, right? Okay, so I'm gonna share another one. This one, again, I don't know that if I'm smart enough to fully understand what it did, right? But it's the surged AI power network. It says it takes a lot of compute power to run modern LLMs and complicated ML models. This is one major problem with AI progress in Africa. So we are revolutionizing AI provision, right? And that's what he built. I was interested in this one because it combines AI and blockchain together, which is something that I don't think people are doing enough of today. I'll just play the video real quick.
So, I think we've just even created a new algorithm for this thing. You see how multi-GPU processing works? For example, with ChatGPT and Claude, it's not one server running it. We have multiple servers that are running on multi-GPUs. So things can be done with like PyTorch and data parallelism, and specifically tensor parallelism. So that's what we have done here. So you can have your phone and a specific set of attention heads will go to your phone, depending on your compute power. So depending on your computing power, you can have a collective set of devices running one AI model. And that's what the guy here. So
okay, here now we have the execution, and you can see that some of the checks are going through some nodes. And I want to be on the picture this complete, but here is overview. If the IPFS is fully interpreted, the Ethereum network is there, the file storage, this one is fully interpreted, and the analytics, most of them have been real and they have been tested. So most of this is actually working, apart from maybe the model needs a bit of tuning, but yeah, most of it has been working.
Yeah, so this one, I understood, or at least I think I understood what he was trying to do of the get-go. Basically, he found a way to train AI models on different devices, smaller devices like phones and laptops and so on. So you don't need like a big data center, right? And using blockchain to do the orchestration in such a way that the devices with more compute power get more load, right, on them, right? That was my understanding, right?
Yeah. It looks like my understanding as well. Like he has done, I think the way you would typically try to do, when you're doing, I'm looking for the word now, on the blockchain, and you're trying to, determine who should process a transaction. I think it's taking that same concept and try to, do it using training models so that, whoever it is that is, and maybe it's rewarding. So maybe, which is truly interesting, but again, which is the problem we're saying? It's tough to really understand where he's heading with the idea or where he's heading with the solution and the use case. And the video did not really do justice. So now you're stuck trying to piece together what he's saying, what he's not saying, and trying to fill in the gaps, which is the problem.
Exactly, right? And like he even did a good job, or a relatively good job, of describing the problem, but then the demonstration, the part where he showed the solution, really did nothing to clarify what he was doing, right? In my opinion, like it didn't show me. I would have loved to see, okay, this is this device, this is this device, this is this device. I'm training on 3 of them. Here is how the blockchain is doing the orchestration, and this is the outcome, kind of thing, right? But that wasn't clear in the video, right? Yeah. And then I'll show the last one. This one was very interesting. I don't even know this one. I don't know. It just yeah, I guess it just showed the hustle spirit of the person who built it, and I will let you judge for yourself.
Woman says she can't get a potentially life-saving treatment, and it's all because her medical records are missing.
I was part of when doctors were converting from manual charts to electronic medical record. What I've seen over years is we still have the same problem.
As of 2023, 85% of healthcare facilities across Nigeria still rely on handwritten medical records, which are often incomplete, illegible, or lost.
But what if a single smart box could bridge the gap between paper and precision? Meet MedV, a portable AI-powered documentation assistant built on Raspberry Pi 5.
Our solution, MedV, aims to convert already existing handwritten records into digital format.
It is designed for low-resource clinics. No internet required. MedV runs on a 14-hour power bank and has a user interface implemented with Python and Kinter on a touchscreen interface to fine-tune our Tesseract model OCR engine. We auto-generated training data using open-source funds, then upped our accuracy with Gemini Vision API when Tesseract fell short. A local SQLite database ensures fast retrieval. We started with Tesseract, training it ourselves, but messy doctor scripts had other plans. Gemini gave us over 90% precision, and when our hardware kit shipped with wrong flex cable, we adapted, swapping in a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus and adjusting performance on the fly. MedV cuts patients' lookup time from 20 minutes to seconds. It protects sensitive data, scales across communities, and costs just $200 to replicate. This isn't just about digitizing records. It's about restoring dignity to African healthcare. We have this ambitious vision of enabling several future AI-enabled healthcare solutions. We are going from paper to AI. MedV saves time, MedV saves lives.
Yeah, paper to AI. Still in life.
I'm sure people are here, people are watching are probably asking themselves, really? See all these submissions and they didn't make it? You know, keep it logged on our finals, or you have to keep it logged because you haven't even seen nothing.
You should see the ones that made it to the finals and the semis, you know. But yeah, this one, like, I really can't fault anything per se, you know. The storytelling, at least they did a good job in telling the story of everything. Like, it was a relatively great video. Obviously, it could be better, but you know, all things considered, right? I think they did a great job in storytelling. So it could be that the solution, you know, obviously there are a few things like you ask yourself, $200 per device, is that, you know, is that a good suite? You know, and there are other things, again, being in the healthcare space, you know, 90% accuracy may not be accurate enough, right?
Exactly. And I mean, yeah, and which is the interesting ways our judges could have looked at this, you know, from different ways, whether it's a, you know, what is the real problem that it is solving, right? Other people have different, and again, there's an existing problem in there, right? People are solving that problem in different ways. What our young innovator here has done is truly an interesting problem, but yeah, just like this segment is called, the ones that didn't make it.
Yeah, right. You know, but yeah, like I mean, you look at it, has everything. The skill set is definitely there, right? Understanding how to couple different technologies together to achieve an outcome. Storytelling was relatively strong, you know. So I guess the main point, like the MedV team is talented. You know, this talent that, you know, MedV may be great, it may work out, it may not, but I feel that it is talent like this that we should be looking at how to capture and leverage, if not for MedV or whatever their current application is, you know, for something else. But the talent was definitely there, and that was the thing that caught my eye, you know. But yeah, you can go and you may agree with me. I would love to hear in the comments. Do you agree? Do you not agree? Yeah, made it. Are there others that you feel should have made it? Please.
And that's just three. That's just three that we've gone through. And it feels like even us being on this call, it feels like, like this is smoking hot.
Yeah, you know, so there's more. So go to the gallery, right? Take a look at the gallery. Maybe you may have different opinions of what could have made it or what could have made it.
And depending on where you're watching this, if you find anything on there that is interesting and you feel like you want to have a chat with any of these guys, you know, even if they made the finals or any of the things that we've shown, you know, please feel free to reach out to us. Happy to facilitate any introductions and make sure that, you know, that happens. Yeah, I just wanted to chip that in.
Oh, yes, definitely. One of the main things here, I want to shine the light on the talents, right? Whether they win or not, we feel these are amazing talents that deserve to do more. right? Or to be leveraged. So if you're watching this and you go to the gallery and you're like, hey, that's an interesting project, I want to talk to the team, please reach out, let us know. We will be very happy to make a connection.
Very,
Very
very
happy to make
happy.
a connection.
Very, very happy.
You know, and so, you know, Gbolahan hinted at it, like if you feel these are great projects and you're asking, so who made it to the finals? And let's even see those people, right? Maybe it's time to, as we begin to wrap up, like talk about what's coming next.
Yeah, the finals, drum roll. And you can already tell. I hope that as you're listening to this, you're already sweating and feeling like, oh my God, those finals, what is going to be happening? So the finals is happening. Our judges, you can imagine that this is not going to be easy, right? And you can imagine that to get to this point it has not been easy. So turn on your post notifications, and you should be excited for what's coming. I can assure you, I've seen some of the guys that are going on there, and it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's don't miss it. Make it a date. It is on September the 13th, Saturday, right at 2 p.m. UTC, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna share my screen real quick so that you can see the details. And we're gonna put the link to register in the show notes, right? So September the 13th is the final pitch day. It says 7 a.m. Pacific time. That's in California. But if you're in Africa, you're talking around 2 p.m. UTC or 3 p.m. West African time. It's going to be amazing, right? These are the projects that made the semifinals, and you're going to see the finalists pitching. These are our amazing judges.
Amazing.
The ones who didn't pick the apps that we showed you.
Yeah.
But who picked even better ones, right?
Yes.
You know, so each of the teams will present their projects, and they're going to face a live Q&A from the judges. And, you also have the opportunity to ask them questions if you come and learn more about what they're building. It's really, really, really going to be great. Do not miss it. And there's also going to be an audience choice as well. So if you come there and maybe you feel the judges didn't do a good job and you feel one of the finalists deserves to get the prize, we're going to open up, audience votes, and you can vote for your favorite project, and that project will get a little something, regardless of how the competition turns out. So yeah, don't miss it.
Yeah, I mean, and just to add a caveat in there, right? Every part of this competition is still, guided by our, community guidelines. So as you're voting, even if you disagree with something that is not going on, remember to be respectful, remember to be cordial, remember that, this is the spirit of competition and this is just the spirit of challenge. So a lot of amazing things are going to be happening. Turn on the post notifications.
Yes, indeed. And one thing I'll in closing, I'll just say about these challenges. We promise folks that win or not win, if you participate in this challenge, you're not going to be the same again, right? You're going to improve as a person, as an innovator, because this challenge was designed specifically to push people beyond their boundary. So everybody at least who got to the semifinals did something they hadn't done before. They went beyond the place where they haven't been before. And, I want to believe they are better for it today. And so that's the whole spirit that we want to bring to this challenge, a spirit of continuous improvement, which is basically the vision we have for Africa. Continuous improvement, learning by doing. That's really what it's all about.
And collaboration.
Yeah. Exactly. And so, yeah, I think that really is it,
Yeah.
Come to the end, in terms of call to action. Obviously, do not forget to like and subscribe. We bring more, initiatives, contents like this. So just like, subscribe, stay in touch. Make it a date with us on the 13th of September to see this going down and see who gets to take away the final prize. Got $20,000 in prizes going out. So 20 grand, man. It's not to be sneezed at, right? So
and shout out to our partners for making that available as well. Shout out to Future Africa and every single partner that is supporting us on this journey.
Yes, please. Exactly. And again, like Gbolahan said, if there's any project at all that you see that is interesting to you, shoot us a note, and we are happy to make that connection. That's the way we can make our ecosystem grow and thrive. And so, yeah, until we see you on the next one, thank you so much, and we really appreciate you for the support that you've given us all through this challenge. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
See you. Keep it locked.
Bye.
Bye.